Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we are going to talk about a very unusual and controversial idea coming from the United States Navy. Imagine this. Instead of spending billions of dollars to build a massive guided missile destroyer, what if the Navy could simply deploy a fleet of small unmanned ships, drones at sea, that together could perform the same role? This concept is being called the deconstructed DDG, and according to its supporters, it could cost only a tiny fraction of a traditional warship. But the big question is, can a swarm of drones really replace a destroyer? Let's break this down step by step. So here's the core proposal. Rear Admiral Michael Mattis of the U.S. Navy has suggested replacing a single destroyer with a fleet of about 20 unmanned surface vessels. Each of these would carry out a specific task. Some might transport ammunition, others might do surveillance, and some could even carry weapons. The most attractive part of this plan is cost. A modern guided missile destroyer like the Arleigh Burke class can cost over $2 billion. In comparison, a drone flotilla could be as much as 30 times cheaper. That's like swapping one giant warship for an entire swarm of smaller, disposable, and much cheaper machines. This is not just a theory. The U.S. Navy has already tested more than 10 types of unmanned surface vessels this summer. These drones were put into real-world exercises like NATO's Ball-Tops and the U.S. Army's Arcane Thunder. In these drills, the drones played multiple roles, scouting, delivering supplies under contested conditions, and even sharing battlefield data. Officers who observed the trials noted that while these vessels were slower than expected, they did show decent payload capacity and operational reliability. But here's where the problems begin. A destroyer is not just a floating missile platform, it is a multi-mission powerhouse. It can conduct anti-air, anti-submarine, and anti-surface warfare, while also acting as a command center at sea. The question is, can a group of cheap, unmanned ships really match that? What happens if the enemy targets them with long-range missiles? Are these drones resilient enough to survive in actual combat? And most importantly, can they regenerate or be replaced quickly if lost? So, while the cost advantage sounds amazing, survivability and combat power remain the biggest doubts. Now let's put this into a broader perspective. On land, drones have already changed warfare. In Ukraine, for example, cheap drones are being used daily to target tanks, bunkers, and even logistics. But at sea, the situation is very different. Distances are much larger, payloads are heavier, and the threat environment is dominated by powerful missiles. Experts say that while cheap mass works on land, naval warfare demands endurance, resilience, and the ability to fight back after taking a hit. This means drone swarms at sea may not be able to fully replace traditional ships anytime soon. Instead, they might only complement them. So what does the Navy actually want? According to Admiral Mattis, this is not about completely removing destroyers from the fleet. Instead, drone flotillas could serve as a hedge force, an additional layer of capability. For example, these drones could provide constant presence in regions like the Gulf of Guinea, where piracy and small conflicts are common. They could do surveillance, logistics, or patrol missions where deploying a billion-dollar destroyer would simply be overkill. To summarize, the deconstructed DDG is an exciting but controversial vision for the future of naval warfare. On one hand, it promises huge savings in cost and manpower. On the other, it raises tough questions about resilience, combat effectiveness, and whether a swarm of cheap drones can truly handle the pressure of modern naval battles. Maybe the answer lies somewhere in the middle, not replacement, but a hybrid fleet, where traditional destroyers remain the backbone, while drone flotillas take on secondary missions. So, what do you think? Could drones ever replace massive warships, or are they just a useful supplement? This debate will shape the future of naval warfare in the coming decades.